Hi there, everyone, and welcome. I'd like to welcome you warmly to the American Business Culture Specialist course. The video you're about to watch is intended to support Module 5. This is a review and reinforcement of Module 5's most important takeaway, which is learning how to use a simple small talk system, the 3x5 system as we call it. I'm Daniel Donahue. I'm the founder of American Business Culture Training and Testing Services, and I'll be providing the voice in this video. I'm very happy that you've decided to join me, and I thank you very much for your interest. Enjoy the program. Now, the best way to conduct small talk is to take advantage of the 3x5 small talk system, which really just means asking three kinds of questions about 5 topics. The 3 questions are how questions. You ask these to probe for interest. Have you heard about or have you seen questions, which you ask to add new and or relevant information to a conversation? And what do you think about questions, which you use to ask for an honest opinion? What do you think about questions should not be asked before you and everyone else participating in the small talk is feeling comfortable with each other. If you ask them too soon, they have a chilling effect on the small talk. Now, if you need more in-depth information on the 3 appropriate small talk questions, please refer back to Module 5's PDF. It's covered very, very well in that PDF. You can ask any of the 3 previously mentioned questions about any of the 5 following topics. Before we get into these, one quick note. Small talk is small and should be kept small. That means avoid any topics with conflict potential. For a complete list of these, please see the PDFs to modules 2 and 5. They explain the no-goes very well. I will say real quickly here, though, there's some things you generally avoid speaking about with Americans. These would be politics, race, religion, gender differences, color, sex, age differences, handicaps, things like that. Direct criticism is also a no-go. But once again, check modules 2 and 5 for more detailed information. All right. So you can ask questions about 5 topics, including the weather and business in a general sense. How's the weather? How's business? How's your project going? You can ask personal interest questions, and these include hobbies, sports, books, films, previous or coming weekends, recent or coming travel, vacations. All of these are fantastic small talk subjects. You can ask about current events, which means popular, non-political news stories, and topics that everyone is currently talking about for some reason, like major sporting events, entertainment events, weather events, I suppose catastrophes you could talk about as well. Just stay away from politics, as mentioned. Finally, you can talk about the family. Now, if you don't feel comfortable talking about your own family, that's okay, but you should still show interest in hearing about and talking about your partner's family should they want to talk about that. Family is one of the most common small talk subjects among Americans. All right, so once you know the 3 questions and the 5 topics, the next thing is to respond appropriately to the emotional intensity of your partner. Now, that intensity is likely to be neutral. It may be neutral positive or neutral negative. In some cases, it will be very high intensity, also positive or negative. But the key is, once again, to respond appropriately. So when you ask a small talk question, you will receive some kind of response, maybe of low or average intensity. I know I'm repeating myself, but bear with me for a moment. Or it may be charged with high emotional intensity, positive or negative. A low or average intensity response indicates that there is no real interest in talking about this topic any further. For example, if you ask the question, how was your weekend? Any of the following responses would indicate that there's little or no interest in talking about this topic. It was all right. How was yours? By the way, you'd respond in a way which matches the intensity. Oh, I can't complain. Or you might hear, it was pretty good. And yours? Again, match the intensity. It was all right. Not too bad. How was yours? It was pretty good. You might say thank you after that. All right. You may get a response now to the same question, how was your weekend? But instead of positive, it has more of a negative touch, yet the intensity is still low. For example, how was your weekend? It could have been better. Oh, that's too bad. Well, at least it's over now. How was your weekend? Well, it wasn't that great. Oh, I'm sorry to hear that. Well, I'm glad that you got through it anyway. How was your weekend? I didn't love it. Oh, that's too bad. Well, at least you got through it. So you try to put a nice touch on a negative response, but there's not a lot to be said about this. Now let's move on to the next ones, which are emotionally charged responses, positive or negative. For example, you're asking about a football game, a baseball game, a hockey match, something like this. How was the game? Now you get one of these responses, and there's obviously great interest in speaking about the topic. For example, it was awesome, or it was outstanding, it was fantastic. Any of these, you can judge the intensity in the voice. It's really there. That's telling you, yes, let's talk about that. It was amazing. It was epic. Oh, it was off the charts. It was off the chain. They knocked it out of the park. The team knocked it out of the park. Any of these kinds of answers, again, with the emotional intensity in the voice, you'd respond in the way that you see here. Oh, that sounds awesome. How was their passing game? How was the ground game? Did Bill Smith get to play? Or any other relevant question that you would ask. Again, they want to engage if they're showing you the intensity. All right. You might get an emotionally intensive answer, which is negative, though. So, how did the presentation go? Oh, it was a hot mess. Again, a lot of emotional intensity, but this is negative now. Or it was terrible, or it was awful, or it was miserable, just miserable. It was a complete dumpster fire. It was a shit show. It sucked. Any of these, very negative, very intensive, you'd answer with something like the following. Oh, I'm sorry to hear that. What happened? Or I'm sorry to hear that. What's the deal? Or what's going on? Same here. Oh, that sounds awful. What happened? Or what's the deal? What's going on? So either one of those would be perfectly adequate answers to one of those kinds of statements. Now, your small talk skills can be seen as adequate once you know when to ask which key question. The key questions are who, what, where, when, why, how, which, or whose. For example, how was your weekend? And you get an answer like, oh, it was awesome. I went to a jazz concert. Well, there's obviously intensity in that. There's obviously a desire to talk about it. So your follow up would be something like, oh, that sounds awesome. Who did you see? Or someone makes a comment about the weather. Hot, isn't it? Cold, isn't it? Humid, isn't it? Something like this, a typical tag question. Weather and isn't it? You can say that again. How hot is it anyway? Or how high is the humidity anyway? These are typical follow up questions. How's business? Oh, not too bad. I'm staying busy anyway. Oh, I'm glad to hear it. What are you working on these days? While your American partner is talking about the situation, you should always show interest by listening and responding appropriately. So you hear a positive statement and you answer with, oh, that's great. So you see the focus is on the great. You hear a negative statement, now the focus is on the oh, that's too bad. Either statement, positive or negative, you might have, oh, really? How did that go? Or how did that work out? That's when you sense that they want to talk more about it. Oh, really? The focus is on the front end of the statement. And then the follow up question, how did that work out? What happened? What did you do? Negative statement, oh, that's sad. Focus on the oh. Positive statement, oh, that's awesome. Focus on the awesome. See, there's a pattern here. Oh, that's great. Oh, that's awesome. Negative statements, oh, that's too bad. Oh, that's sad. Either statement again, oh, I see. Tell me more. All right, now let's do a little quiz and see what you've learned in this video as well as from the Module 5 PDF. I'm going to give you two kinds of prompts. One is going to be a find out question, and the other one is going to be respond appropriately prompt. So in the beginning, when I say find out about my weekend, you will ask an appropriate question to do that. And I will give you some kind of answer, which you respond to appropriately. So that's all we're going to do. We'll do a few sets of these and see how it works out. All right, thank you very much. Let's begin with these two. Find out about my weekend. How was your weekend? My response is, oh, it was awesome. I'm glad to hear that. What did you do? Very good. Let's do another set. Find out how my project is going. How's your project going? I respond, well, it's going pretty well. I can't complain anyway. I'm glad to hear that. All right, let's do another one. Find out if I've heard about the new project management software. Have you heard about the new project management software? And I'll respond with, yes, I have. What do you think about that? And you will respond in some way that makes sense to that question. Let's do another set now. Find out what I think about the new process. What do you think about the new process? I respond in this way, and I want you to give me an appropriate answer. It's a real shit show. Oh, I'm sorry to hear that. What's the deal? All right, I'd like to thank you very much for your interest and for your participation. Please return to Module 5 now. I really appreciate you. Have a great day.